As human beings living on this planet Earth, we are expected to give and also receive respect from each other. When it comes to persons who happen to be living with disabilities, who in this case will be our family members, our neighbors, our colleagues, our friends, and so on, we are also required to respect their assistive devices that they could be using because of the disability they have. Hello everybody and welcome to Naomi's All Inclusive World, where today we will be looking at what is required of us when it comes to respecting the assistive devices or the aids that our family members or people around us happen to be using because of the disability they have. Assistive devices, in the simplest of languages, are just equipment or gadgets that someone who happens to have a disability has to use to aid them maneuver around, to aid them do a task, to aid them, for example, handle something because they lack a hand, to help them, say, for example, breathe better if they need something like an inhaler. So it's just a gadget or a device that would help someone who happen to have a disability be more comfortable and achieve or accomplish what is needed to be done of them. Some of the most common assistive devices that you definitely might have come across now, either in a restaurant, in an office, even on the highways and in homes, will include equipment like wheelchairs, which are very common, walkers and the canes, inhalers for people who have breathing issues. We have the hearing aids for those who struggle with hearing. We have casts for someone, say, for example, who has a broken arm or limb and they have to use a cast for that time they are recovering or for the duration they have the disability. So that cast, in that case, becomes their assistive device. We are talking about cushions, special cushions for children with autism, special cushions, say, for example, for people with messed up or bad backs. So for an equipment like, for example, a wheelchair, one of the ways you can show that you're being respectful to a wheelchair that belongs to a person with a disability is, don't come around and start moving my wheelchair. Say I'm in a restaurant and my wheelchair is next to me. Respect it by leaving my wheelchair alone. We have people who are just quick to touch other people's things. We have children who don't have boundaries, for lack of a better word, and they want to play around with everything that is around, including a PWDs wheelchair. Like, if you can limit such things, then that will be showing respect to a person who happens to be using that wheelchair. And even, like, for example, if it's in a restaurant and it's the employees who work there, ask me first before you move my assistive device, before you move my wheelchair. Say, for example, if you want to clean or if you want to position it better, ask me first. It's just respectful. For things like, for example, inhalers, it's respectful if, for example, you think I am struggling with it. Ask me first before you grab it to help me, use my inhaler, to help me use my my cane. It's just respectful that you ask for permission from me, the owner of the device first, of the assistive device first, before you touch it, before you move it. It just shows that you're being respectful. For children or people who happen to have autism and they have to walk with this particular cushion or this particular teddy bear for kids, which to them is actually an assistive device. Don't just think you can swap it with any other cushion in the house, with any other cushion, even say on a flight, or in a vehicle. Ask them first. They have some attachment to that teddy bear. They have some attachment to that cushion because of the disability. So it's just not any other cushion for their case. So ask first. Don't just play with it like any other. Don't move it around. Don't hide it from them. It makes them anxious. That will actually just be being respectful to their assistive devices. And lastly, for things like casts and the bandages and the holders for the broken limbs and hands, For example, if you really think you're dying to say, for example, sign on it, ask me first. We've seen cases where like people ask you, can I put a signature on your cast? Can I put a signature on your, something like that? Like, ask me first. Don't just let your children loose to come and start drawing on this person's cast, on this person's support for their broken leg or hand and so on. It's just respectful. And lastly, when you happen to be in an environment that has people who live with disabilities and they have dogs as their service animals, because dogs are also there to help people who happen to struggle with different disabilities, like, please restrain yourself from wanting to engage to their service animal. This dog is on duty just the way a nurse would be. So you keeping your boundaries, you avoiding to engage this service animal that is with their owner, their master, who in this case is a person who happens to have a disability, is being respectful. Remember, every time someone else is engaging this service animal, they are distracting this service animal's attention from their owner, from their master, and that's how they might miss a signal that could be important. So however much of a dog lover you are, when it's a service animal that is accompanying their owner, in this case who happens to have a disability, please respect the boundaries. That service animal is on duty, and you observing the boundaries and knowing that it's just not a pet but a service animal is showing respect. Thank you very much, guys. I hope that short session is helpful to someone, and let's just continue being respectful to everybody and to everything around us that involves those living with and without disabilities, and let's always remember that we are human beings first. Thanks for watching, and drop me a comment. I would love to know a situation you've been in that probably you think you handled very well or you did not when it came to assistive devices of people who happen to live with disabilities, and probably how you think you will handle it next time when you are in such a situation. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so that you join the team in what we are doing of just putting across the right information when it comes to the world of those living with disabilities. And like I always say, I love reading from you, so drop me that comment, drop me that experience you've had, and remember to share. Let's share this good information, because it's the only good way we will empower society on disability.